This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of make it happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I am joined by my co-host, my brosif, Josh Rusin, the community director of Jake Gino. Josh, how you doing today, bro?
Gino, making it happen, my friend. Coming off a big weekend last weekend with the Buy Rate Boot Camp, able to have a huge impact on a lot of students, not only with the information they gained, but also the networking opportunities there. It was really incredible to see the impact we're having on students' lives. Gino, what's going on in your world down there in Florida?
Let's piggyback off of what you just said. A lot of the feedback that we had this weekend was, I didn't know what I didn't know. And those words are scary, Josh. Because when somebody sees a price tag on education, they say, I can't spend that money. Change your mind shift. I need to invest that money because that one little tip that I have, that one little golden nugget, one little step I have in due diligence where I can save $20,000 or put a performance clause in a contract that I didn't know about. These little tips, you don't know what you don't know. And there's nothing wrong, as my boy over there likes to say, it's a school of hard knocks. You can learn from the school of hard knocks. You can pay to play. You can seek to serve. Those are two ways you can do it. But we all need to get educated on what we're doing. Spend time to educate yourself and then choose the niche. It's really important. I'm excited to have our guest on today because he personifies that. He's continuing to build his team. He's continuing to invest in his education. His networking is amazing. So this is going to be an awesome podcast. So Josh, let's get it going, bro.
Today's guest, Evan Holladay. A little bit about Evan. He's a real estate developer and investor with over $225 million and 1,347 units of multifamily real estate developed and invested. He's the founder and CEO at Holladay Ventures, where their team specializes in creating and investing in workforce, affordable, and mixed income communities. Their mission is to create quality housing opportunities and empower the residents to realize their full potential. Evan is also the host of the iTunes Top 200 Business and Real Estate podcast, Monumental, where he sits down with top leaders and entrepreneurs making massive changes in the world. Welcome to the show, Evan.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys. Really, really glad to be here.
Evan, that's a huge bio there. Let's tell the listeners real quick how old you are, because I think that makes it even more impressive.
I just turned 29.
That's huge. All right, so let's talk about where you got your start and all of that. Where did this all come from? Where was the inception of real estate, and what were your first few steps?
Yeah, so really for me, it started back in college. I was kind of going down the pre-med route, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a doctor, and quickly realized I hate science and chemistry, which doesn't really work out well if you're going down the pre-med route. So I realized I liked helping people. I liked impacting others and helping others. And I wanted to get that through medicine, but then I realized it wasn't a fit. So I found this big, like $55 million student housing development going in on campus. And I realized I was like, yep, like something about that. I'm being pulled in, I'm all in. Like, how can I be a part of that? And so I found a connection to the owner and basically provided like tremendous value to him in order, so he couldn't even have an excuse not to hire me. So I brought a few hundred people out to his groundbreaking. And really that was the start of, I was the first one he hired there, learned like ground up from the construction side. He had like 12 retail tenants. There was 380 units we had to lease up in like 5 months. And he had new market tax credits, like all these different crazy things going on this project. So it was kind of like a crash course of development management and just real estate in general. And so I was fortunate for that experience. And then from there started a modular development company in college with 4 other people. We basically took the same layout and the same design of a houseboat. And there's like a mecca of houseboat manufacturing plants in Kentucky. So I went to school at University of Louisville, and we took that same layout, the same facilities, the same warehouses, the same workers. And we're like, well, they just laid off 1,100 skilled workers in the housing market crash of 2008. And so now they're looking to put those people back to work, use the same facilities that are now dormant, and be able to build modular energy efficient housing that we can literally just put in a warehouse or build in a warehouse and then ship to site and be able to turn over buildings a lot more quickly. So we built a few single family and then looked to scale that up to multifamily. And that's when I was looking for partners and, kind of in a roundabout way, met a great group based out of Louisville that does workforce affordable housing, and really just decided to partner with them and go out and source deals with them, with their capital, with their infrastructure, learning from them and learning on their dollar. And it was just a phenomenal experience because I really cut my teeth there of like, they kind of just threw me in the deep end. They're like, hey, go source deals and make it happen. And that's really what I did, from over the last 6 years, sourced over 1,300 units. But found that niche, like Gino said, of going into workforce affordable housing, public-private partnerships. We're doing like 200 plus unit deals with tax credits, with tax abatements. We have to get community support. We have to get like the mayor and the council person to sign off on what we're doing. It's a really cumbersome process. And it's not for the faint of heart, but it allows you to do two things: get into development with little to no equity, and actually have a huge, tremendous impact in what you're doing by providing good quality, brand new, affordable housing for families that would never be able to have that opportunity otherwise.
Evan, how did we meet?
I think it was from Josh connecting through Instagram.
And I've done your podcast before. Talk about the networking aspect. Talk about coming out to the Money Mixers. Talk about coming out to a Jake and Gino event. Talk about being immersed and surrounded by people who are like-minded like you.
Yeah, honestly, and major props to you and Jake and Josh and everybody in your all's community, because, as soon as we did the podcast with you, Gino, on Monumental, it seems like we just kind of, our relationship snowballed. And, within a matter of months, I was going to like every one of your all's events. And because I knew that there was tremendous value there and there's tremendous like A players and just awesome people there. And I know that there's power in surrounding yourself and having that proximity to power and being able to bounce ideas off each other and network and learn. It's been tremendous, honestly, doing the Money Mixer in Knoxville. Then we did one in Nashville. And then we had your team at the Monumental Multifamily Meetup in Nashville. So we've just been like full momentum on this. So it's really been powerful. The community you all have is amazing, top notch. And that's what's really drawn me in, is just, tremendous people, tremendous value, and great, it starts at the top. It's great leadership. So I commend you guys for being able to build that community.
We talked off air about building teams. So how are you starting to build your teams and starting to attract those people so you can eventually leave Nashville and move to Florida, sunny Florida?
Yeah. So really it starts with like, we just hired executive assistant. She's remote. She's in Denver. So she's doing kind of behind the scenes, helping kind of grease the wheels on the machine. And she just recently started a few weeks ago, and it's honestly already a game changer, just having her support. And then I've been fortunate to have Janed, my fiance, who's been really supportive. She's helped build out systems, also helping build out the marketing arm and the podcasting machine, so that I really don't touch it other than reaching out to guests, researching the guests, and actually doing the interviews. So having that support has been amazing, but really, like we talked about, been reading and learning from my mentors on how to find the best, reading books like Who, awesome book of like literally tells you step-by-step how to find, interview, and hire A players. And then also just putting it out there of what we're doing has been tremendous. Is like, I'm literally having people come to me and say, hey, what are you doing there? Like, I want to be a part of that, like that energy, that vibe, that momentum. And then also I would say traction. And I know you guys are big into traction as well. And I've become addicted to it very quickly. And I think having that like vision traction organizer has done like wonders for me, as far as like being able to send out the message of what we're doing at Holladay Ventures. And then people see that big goal and that big mission behind the company. We're not just doing real estate, we're doing real estate for impact. And people see that and they're like, whoa, like I want to be a part of that, because I think we all want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. So people are attracted to that. So getting clear on that really helped me also send out the good vibes, and then people are starting to come in from that. So next is development and acquisitions, building out that team. So that's what I'm working on now.
I love that. Before I get my tips over there, I just noticed your last name is Holladay. So every day is a holiday with Evan Holladay.
Yes.
That is just, why didn't you mention that, dude? I said, well, I like the thing is, it's not a holiday because he's always working, but still, it's a holiday to be around the person. That's the first thing when you're building out your team.
Yeah.
If you're a grumpy person, you're going to attract grumpiness. So just you attract what you are, not what you want. That's probably the most important thing. And Jake and I always talk about this. Write this down, everybody. The three things: people, systems, and culture. So the culture is probably the top one, right? Our mission statement is to create communities that allow people to become the best version of themselves, right? And it's important that mission statement, because you want to create that, and your culture works off that mission statement. We have people first, whether it's our residents, whether it's our investors, whether it's our students, whether it's people we're doing a mortgage for. Those people are first, right? We have growth mindset. We want everyone to hire based on a growth mindset. They're reading books. They're going to seminars. We're going to trainings with them. They're coming to our boot camps to learn, right? Unwavering ethics. That's what we want. We want people who have unwavering ethics. If there's something wrong, they see something, we want to know about it. And a couple other ones: make it happen. Make it happen is just something simple. But if there's something that's there, I always hear Josh say, "I own it." It's on me. I own it. So we want people like that. So if you can set it at the top, and like you said, it starts at the top. I'm still packing books. So anyone orders a book, I'll ship it out to you. I'll send it myself. And that permeates down through the culture. So creating a culture is really important, especially when you're small. You can create your own culture for your company. And then from there, you start taking the people on and start building systems. And you don't have to build all your systems within 6 months. Every quarter, 1 or 2 major systems. And then by the end of the year, you have 5, 6, 7 systems in your organization, and continue to grow. Rome wasn't built in a day. Enjoy building the process, because you're going to say, wow, like Evan said, I'm not even dealing with the podcast anymore, or any of that stuff. I'm only working on the podcast itself. I'm not working on the back end of it. So just take your time. Josh, I see you over there. You want to jump in. So jump in, bro.
Yeah, Evan, I have a question for you. So most people have trouble justifying the cost of hiring an executive assistant or an employee or something like that. You and I and Gino know A players aren't a cost, they're an investment, and there's a return on that investment. How did you get to that point where you're going to start hiring things out? And then also, how do you have the confidence to be able to delegate that and know that it'll get done as well as you would do it, or at least 90% as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, I realized I'm like, there are just tasks that I hate doing. Like I just really don't enjoy. And I know that it's not the highest and best use of my time. And that's really, I had learned some of that from working with the prior company, but because I had a team of people helping me and supporting me. So I got to do only the high level, basically my zone of genius activities. So that really helped put it in perspective. And then also being able to, I'm going to bring up another book. I swear I didn't place these here on purpose. They're just literally sitting next to me. So this is Your World-Class Assistant by Michael Hyatt. Just recently read that. It was crazy coincidence. I've pre-ordered it months ago, and it comes in last week.
Evan, give him a call, because he'll jump on the podcast. He was on our podcast, Will Our Profits, and he's actually really good. And it's amazing that you're 29 years old, or adopting a lot of his principles, because his principles are more for people who are more mature, who are more CEOs, and really guard and really treasure their time. He wants to do more with less. So it's amazing that you're into that thing, because I know Josh was, when we podcasted him, Josh was like, this guy's doing less work, but he's just being more efficient with his time. And I think as you get older, your time becomes more and more valuable. So I would definitely reach out to him and say, hey, jump my podcast, please.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely will. It's a phenomenal book, because it just breaks down these are all the ways that you can delegate that. Here's the levels of delegation. And for me, going through this right now, literally learning as we go, I think it's just a learning process, and you give one project, and it starts out with a little bit more hand holding. But if you're teaching and kind of being there for them and over communicating, especially on the front end, as they're learning the company, they're learning the culture, that really helps set the groundwork. And we even, like, right when she started, I spent an hour like going over the vision traction organizer with her, just to like take it step by step and say, here's the mission, here's where we're going, just so she knows why she's doing what she's doing. I think that's tremendous as far as like setting the groundwork. But honestly, it's already, just in a few weeks has been game changer. I highly recommend it to anybody. Like if you're going out there looking for deals, if there's anything that is slowing you down that you don't want to do, that you could hire somebody for $10 to $15 to $25 an hour, I highly recommend you look at some kind of service, Upwork, Fiverr, find that person and make it happen, because it will like transform your business.
I have a tip on that also. When we first started Jake and Gino, I hated selling. I hated it because I didn't understand it. I think when you become proficient, you become really good at something, that might become part of your genius. Because now I can get on a call and I can sell our product because I have full faith in it. I have the skill set to do it. I know how to sell, because it's really, there needs to be a little bit of scarcity there. There needs to be, what are you getting on? It's not only features and benefits. You have to put some emotion to it. And I hated it, selling that idea. So just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you don't like it. I will guarantee you, if you become really good at something, you can gravitate towards liking it and having an impact. And it's important for those certain skill sets, because bookkeeping, sending out emails, that's definitely stuff that's low level. Even if you love to do it, you shouldn't do it, because you're not generating revenue there from there. But sales, you should learn how to do sales. Every entrepreneur should have a sales background, or should be able to sell their product or sell their services. Negotiations, another one. You really should learn how to do that. You don't want to delegate out certain things. Underwriting a deal, that could probably be delegated out. Get good at that. If you love it and you crush it, maybe that's something you keep. But if not, you can delegate that out and then just look at stuff. So look at your tasks, look what you can delegate out that's really low, and then stuff that generates revenue, you should maybe focus on that in your business, or at least get better at it and say, I really hate selling. I'm going to find somebody to do it. That is okay. But I discounted in the beginning because I wasn't good at it. I didn't understand it. Now I like it. And Josh, you better watch out, Josh, because maybe I'm going to start taking some of your calls. Anything else, Josh?
No, I love all of that. All right. So Evan, I want to talk about, recently you made a pivot, right? You went from, you started doing more deals on your own, built out Holladay Ventures. Let's talk about why you made that pivot and where you're going from here.
Yeah, it really, for me, so I was working with another group, learning from them. They're one of the top developers in the country, and got to learn a lot of what to do and what to not do. And really, I had always had that entrepreneurial desire and drive in me, back from, very young age, was starting companies, and then in college with the modular development company. So that was always inside of me. And then also I knew, I was like, I'm loving what I'm doing with this other company, but I feel like I can do, 10x, 100x more on my own, building out my own venture, building out my own company, and also adding in the component of the empowerment, like exactly what you guys talk about with the properties that you all own and manage. That's exactly what is part of our mission at Holladay Ventures, is resident empowerment, helping them live their best lives. Like, I want to help them like learn about podcasts, listen to podcasts like this one, and help them develop this mindset that they can achieve more, they can be more, they can be happier. There's a bigger world out there, and just helping them, take it a step further, besides just providing good quality, affordable housing, which in itself is a great thing. But I was like, I feel like there's more to this. There's more we can do. It's almost like we have this captive audience, for 365 days out of a year. It's like, why can't we take that a step further and actually help these people, in person, provide services, provide events, provide community. I just think that is where the precipice came for me. And I, that with always wanting to lead my own charge. And so things have been going well so far. It's been a whirlwind of learning all new things, of, building systems, building teams, payroll, accounting, all these crazy things I never thought I'd need to learn, but it's been a blast so far.
Where do you see the risk going forward in multifamily and specifically in your business model?
In my business model, so a little bit about my business model first. It's basically two different avenues we're looking at. It's either new construction, workforce affordable housing. We're typically using tax credits, tax abatements, and then we're also looking at components where we don't actually use tax credits, but we still get local tax exemption, and then we provide some workforce housing and some market rate. Like a mixed income model.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the new construction side, and then we're also doing the value add syndication, workforce housing, similar to what you all are doing. So those are like the two avenues of the business. And really the reason behind that is because we see they can complement each other. The development deals take a long, long time, a lot of investment, a lot of time. There's risk in the front end because you don't know. There's a lot of hurdles. There's a lot of things that can come up. So those are like the longer term investments, but bigger pops when you can get those things closed and you get a brand new asset and you get it with literally no equity. The tax credits are the equity. So that's the new construction side. That one really, the risks are, the economy imploding or at least faltering, declining, and the demand for tax credits goes away. Or at least declines enough so that our numbers can't really pencil out, because we have to go to the open market and sell the credits and get cash for the tax credits. That's how we get our equity. So that's a whole podcast in itself of explaining that. And then the value add side, I think the risk is it's becoming very saturated. A lot of groups are getting into it. A lot of people are seeing the value in buying existing and seeing it as an alternative to the stock market. So that's been the biggest thing for me, is that, I feel like there's a blue ocean over here in the development world, but it's also a much longer turnaround time. So that's why we've brought in the value add. If we can find the right opportunities, specifically things that are off market or not having to compete against 15 or 20 different groups, that can help in the short term to help with cash flow and be able to have some quicker turns while we're working on the longer term developments.
What would your recommendation be to people trying to get into the value add / syndication? Because the new construction is a much longer game. There's a lot more money. You need to be a little connected to get into tax credits, and you just find those people. You can get into those people. Value add is where we play. A lot of our students. What would you say to our community? Hey, these are the recommendations that I would say to get into the game.
Well, it's funny. I just got back from Jeanette and I went to Tony Robbins for 4 days.
Holladay 4 day.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Always a holiday. I love it. But he talked about something where it really resonated with me, and it hit on what you're asking is like how do you learn anything? And then in this case, it's value add syndication. And he really said it's like it comes down to three things, and this really, really resonated with me. It's find a coach or a mentor. Find the best and basically do whatever it takes to invest in that if you need to. Like, make a commitment to learning from the best, and then basically do a total immersion. Don't putz around. Don't like commit an hour here, an hour there. Like, really go full all in, commit your time, make it your number one goal, and really make that your core focus. If that's really what you want, if you want the results, then make sure you're first finding the right coach or mentor, the best of the best. Number two, total immersion. And number three, it's basically continual training. Making sure that you're always training, you're always learning, because things are like the industry is always changing and always innovating. So you need to be constantly staying up to date, learning on it, and practicing and honing your skill. So I think it really just starts with finding that coach.
I love that. So Josh made me read a book called No Can Do, and I recommend that to everybody because it's all about the learning. I forgot the three reasons why we don't learn. It's because I think it's information overload. Write that down, everybody. The number one is information overload. Everyone's on YouTube watching videos, getting so much information and not really learning it. It's such an overload. Number two is negative thinking. If you think you can't do it and tax credits are hard, well, guess what? You're not going to do it. If you can't find a deal in this market, guess what? You're not going to find a deal, and you're not going to retain the learning if you have that negative mindset. And number 3, haven't hit on it, continual training. It's called spaced repetition. You have to repeat what you're learning, because you're never an expert, because things always change. And everyone out there who's an expert, and we've seen over the past 3 years, they've been wrong about everything. The economy was supposed to implode. The stock market was supposed to implode. He was supposed to get impeached, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on. All these experts, self-proclaimed experts, they're experts. They stop learning. They don't understand that the market is constantly changing. So that spaced repetition is really important. So remember that information overload, be careful, negative thinking, and spaced repetition is really important. You do those 3. What else did you learn at the Tony event? What else did you take away from that event?
Oh man, it was a game changer. Honestly, like just the mindset like shift that I've had. And you know, I honestly went into it. You know, Jeanette and I were talking about this during the conference. I went into it with honestly a negative mindset. I was like, you know what? I've been to like 10 plus conferences this year. I'm kind of burnt out on conferences. Like, you know, should we have signed up for this one this time? Like, you know, all these thoughts were running through my head of like, you know, why are we doing this? I have so much to do. You know, why are we committing 4 days of like sun up to sundown with this guy? And, but honestly, within the first few hours, I was blown away of just how he takes your mindset, he takes your goals, he takes, you know, everything that you've ever wanted in life and basically boils it down to, you know, you are basically playing in your head. That's really it. You're playing in your head. Everybody has limiting beliefs that are that are holding them back from, you know, you're here where you want to be, or you're here where you are now, and where you want to be is over here, way over here. And there's this big gap. And he talks about closing the gap. What do you have to do that? And he just talks about like these tricks where you literally snap out of any negative state that you're ever in. Like you talked about, Gino, it's like snap out of negative state, get out of that mindset and get into a beautiful state of mind where, you know, the cup is half full, you know, it happens for you, not to you, you know, all these things where you're saying, okay, this is my choice to live my best life. And anything that I desire and dream and put out into the world can happen. It's up to me. Mm-hmm. And it really just resonated all around that. And a big piece of that was the fire walk that we did the first night.
I saw the picture. Good picture.
Yeah. That was awesome. It was honestly, you know, leading up to that too. I was like, oh, I'm not worried about that. And then we get out there. I'm like, oh, this could maybe hurt. Like, you know, everybody's like, they're playing the music. We're all like lined up. We're waiting in line to cross over it. And it was just like getting into that right state of saying, I can do this. Mm-hmm. I can take the step. And that first step, you just think about the finish line and you think about the victory. You think about the goal and completing and being victorious in that goal. And that helps you get through the thought and avoid the thinking of the negative thinking of like, oh, what's going to happen to my feet? Mm-hmm. You know, am I going to burn? Am I going to trip? Am I going to fall? And you just think about the finish line, and before you know it, it's literally over before it started.
That's awesome. I think everyone should Google Tony Robbins and physiology and state, because if you can raise your level and your state, it's amazing. I was listening to him yesterday, and he's basically says your whole life is basically dependent upon your peer group. You're the expectations of your peer group. And if they can raise your level or your state, you're in, right? You got to be careful who you surround yourself with also. And your physiology is important. Aren't depressed. You do depressed, that you do it, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot of people out there with mental illness, but you know, you're feeling a little sad or a little down, when they snap out of it, use your physiology, how you stand, how you breathe. It all makes a huge difference. I mean, let's get up, Josh, get up, breathe, and just think about it. And you can change your physiology because it's part of your mind. And it's amazing because a lot of people don't even know that. You know, it's just so, I would definitely Google it. And one last thing before we go to the break, T. Harv Eker said one thing that really always resonated with me. Tony probably said it also. Do you make the money and then go to the event? Or do you go to the event and then make the money? It's your decision, because if you wait to make the money, you may never get to that event. You need to go to that event to learn how to make the money. Whatever it takes, burn those ships, right? Do a total immersion. It's really important. So let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
Gino, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. I know that you've been hard at work helping Jake and Gino students do just that using our framework. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
Guys, we've been hard at work growing our community of like-minded investors, and the results of our members has been nothing short of incredible. We're looking to grow this amazing group. What we're looking for is those who want to follow our proprietary framework that we've created. Buy right, manage right, and finance right. Leverage our connections, education, and mentorship as ways to take your business to the next level.
So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become a part of our amazing community, apply to work with us at jakeandgino.com/apply.
Okay, Evan, got some short answer questions here for you. So what's your best habit for success?
Best habit for success. I think honestly, what we just talked about was like getting in that right state. And part of the way I've done that is meditation. That's honestly every morning I can tell a difference if I've meditated or if I haven't, because it's getting you in the right mindset of saying, I can accomplish this day. I can knock things out, and also just calms you down. Like it's literally calming. It's like, oh, these little things that I think are important in my head really aren't that important. And it just helps you brush it aside and worry about or focus on the important things.
Love that. What about your favorite book?
Favorite book? That's a tough one. I would say one of the ones that really changed my mindset was the 10X rule. Because it helped me think literally 10 times bigger. And it made me realize that, I can go after literally anything I want. So,
and if you think 10X and you get 6X or 4X, it's better than where you are right now, right? So it's amazing that you say
exactly.
That. That's an awesome point.
Love that. What about your favorite deal you've ever done?
Man, they're all like babies to me, but I would say the first one I did in Nashville, we did the first ever tax abatement in Nashville for affordable housing, and 240 units. Basically did a 10-year pilot, payment in lieu of tax. So we got taxes abated for 10 years, and we're able to borrow basically $2 million extra on our loan for that. And that was a whirlwind of a deal. We basically had to get legislation passed at the state of Tennessee. We had the mayor of Nashville's help, but basically had to get legislation changed to even allow them to do the tax abatement. For whatever reason, Nashville was not allowed. Every other city in Tennessee could, but we had to get that added in. So that was a crazy deal, but so glad we got that done. That was probably my favorite deal.
Awesome. So there's been some huge golden nuggets on this episode. I want to dive into a few of them that I definitely have learned, and I hope the listeners take away as well. So I think one of them is seek to serve, to gain that knowledge, surround yourself with experts. Another one is we're building out systems. You create it, you operate the system, and you delegate it. So create, operate, delegate. And then I really liked your success or recipe for success you got from Tony Robbins to select a coach or a mentor, make sure they're the best, go all in investing to gain that help, fully immerse yourself and make that your core focus, and then commit to continual training. Gino, I know you're going to have a ton of ones to add to this, but tell me some of your big takeaways from this episode.
Those are the big takeaways, those three. Find a coach, total immersion, and continual training. I think to add on to it is you're never an expert. You're constantly learning. I think you need to think about your team as you start expanding your team. Focus on what the culture, what you want your company to be, because you have that power. If you want your company to be a limiting belief and not make it happen, that's fine. Just, identify that, but you have the power to make your company whatever you want it to be. The other thing, multifamily is great. There's so many different facets of multifamily, but I think what I want you to do is I want you to pick a lane. Evan has 2 lanes, which is great. He's got the multifamily syndication and he's got the new builds. So I love that area that he's got 2. He's diversified, but he's picked his lane in affordable housing. So that's great. Anything else, Josh?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. What I want to know is, there's been so many nuggets here, and Evan, you're such a make it happen guy. How can the listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the biggest place is our website, evanholladay.com. There's also our real estate company, holladayventures.com. And then, of course, the podcast, Monumental Podcast, where Gino's been a guest on there. And And then of course, Instagram, where we all connected originally. So that's where it's at.
Well, I want to thank Evan for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing his movers and shakers story. If you want to be the next guest on Movers and Shakers, email me, josh@jakeandgino.com. And until next time, let's make it a Movers and Shakers week. See ya, everybody.
Thanks, Evan.
Yes.